Up until this point, I've been teaching you about how Vim works, I've been showing you various commands, and you've been practicing what you've learned along the way. And there's a lot more of that to come. Again, I'll teach and demonstrate and you'll do in practice. It's really a great and fun way to learn. Now, we're even going to continue that method in this lesson, even though it's about documentation in the Vim help system. I know reading technical documentation can be totally boring and even slightly confusing at times. I wouldn't recommend that you learn how to use Vim by reading Vim's documentation alone. It's not a good strategy. However, I want to teach you how to use Vim's built-in help system so that you can be self-sufficient even beyond the end of this course. Also, I want you to know where to look when you have a question about a specific command. For example, if I introduce you to a command in the course, but you want to learn even more about it, then I want you to be able to go deeper on your own. Finally, even if you have an amazing memory, it's almost impossible to memorize absolutely positively everything. I want you to be able to quickly refer to the documentation to refresh your memory quickly. This lesson will show you how to do that while you're editing a file. This way you don't even have to stop what you're doing to get the help you need. Let's start this lesson out by opening up a terminal on your system and navigating to where you extracted the contents of the course download archive. For me, that's in my downloads folder, and I'm going to start there. CD downloads, CD Vim class, and now I'm going to open the file with vim help.txt. As always, you can follow along with me now or wait for the practice exercise that's going to follow, or you can even do both, whatever suits your learning style best. Now let's get started with the Vim's help system, and to do that you just type colon and the word help and press enter. You'll see that your screen is divided into two windows. The top window contains the help documentation and your original file is in the bottom window. Vim's documentation is simply a series of text files. You can even see that the name of this file is help.txt. If you type Ctrl-G, which I'll do now, you'll actually see where this file is located on your local system. You can navigate through this help file like you would any other file. For example, you can use J to go down a line, K to go up a line, etc. One of the first things this help file tells you is how to quit out of help. It's as simple as closing a file, so type Q, press enter, and the help window is closed and you're right back to your file. What makes the help system really handy is that you can get help with a specific command by typing help followed by the command that you want information about. For example, if you want to learn more about the dd command, we could type help dd and press enter. The help for the dd command says delete count lines into register X line-wise. When you come across information enclosed in brackets in Vim documentation, know that it's optional. If we strip out the optional parts, we're left with delete lines line-wise. And if you precede it with a number which Vim calls a count, it will delete that many lines. For example, 3dd will delete 3 lines. You haven't been introduced to registers yet, but you will learn all about them in an upcoming lesson. Even though you've been using line-wise commands and character-wise commands, we haven't explicitly talked about that yet either, but we'll get to that in just a minute. In addition to getting help with specific commands, you can ask for help on various subjects. For example, count isn't a command in and of itself, but if you wanted help on it, you would type help count and press enter. Here in the documentation, you see that count is an optional number that may precede a command to multiply or iterate that command. By the way, if you want to go back to the previous section you were at, use Ctrl-O. It's very similar to hitting the back button in a web browser. If you want to jump forward, use Ctrl-I. I is right next to O on the keyboard, so pressing Ctrl-I brings us to the count documentation. Okay, so let's use Ctrl-O to jump back to the DD documentation. Let's say you want to know what is meant by line-wise. Again, we could use help, line-wise, and press enter. Here you'll see that if a command operates on an entire line, it is considered to be a line-wise command. If it operates on a character, it is considered to be a character-wise command. Simple enough, but an important distinction for sure. So if you're looking at the documentation for a specific command, and in its description it says that it's line-wise, then you can know that command operates on an entire line. Again, let's go back with Ctrl-O. There is another way to navigate through the help file. Instead of typing help line-wise enter, you can place your cursor under the word line-wise and type Control close bracket. So let's do that. I'll just do J to go down a line. I'll just hit W a couple of times here to put us at the word line-wise, and I'll hold down the Control key and hit the closing bracket. Now, as you can see, you're jumped or placed right to the line-wise documentation. Let's say you want some help on the Q command. So we'll type :help :Q and press enter. One thing I'd like to point out here is that :Q is the shorthand version of the quit command, or :QUIT. You'll notice that U, I, and T are surrounded in brackets, which, as you already know, means that they are optional characters in the command. So if you want to be explicit, or if it's easier for you to remember, you can use :quit. If you want to be a little quicker, use :Q. They are the exact same commands. Again, anything in brackets in the Vim documentation is optional. Now let's get meta here and get some help on the help command itself. So we can type :help and press enter. Here you can see that even though we've been typing :help, we can just as easily type :H, as the characters ELP are optional in the help command as well. So let's try it out with :H, count, press enter. And sure enough, we are placed right at the count documentation. So :H is a shortcut that works just as well. Now let's return to our previous position with Control O. The first sentence about the help command is: open a window and display the help file in read-only mode. As I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson, when you start the help system, Vim opens up a new window. If you want to keep the help window open while editing or navigating through your file, type Control W. That's simply holding down the Control key and pressing W twice. So I'll do that. Control key is down, W, and now you can see that the cursor jumped to the window at the bottom of your screen, which is the file that you opened at the beginning of this lesson. Now that the cursor is back in your file, you can do whatever you want while referring to the above documentation. And if you want to get back to the help window, just use Control W. It just flips back and forth. Again, hold down Control W, back to the bottom window, Control W, back to the help window. I want to leave you with one more quick tip before we wrap up this short lesson about the Vim help system. Let's say you want to look at the documentation for a command, but you're not quite sure what the entire command is. In this situation, you can use command line completion. And to do that, we'll type :H followed by the start of the command you're looking for, and then type Control D. So if you were to type :H space :Q and then type Control D, Vim will list all the commands that start with :Q. Here you can see :Q, :QA, :quit, :Q all, etc. What Control D does is list the commands that match the pattern in front of the cursor. So if we were to add a U to this, so it's :H space :QU, and now type Control D, it just lists the commands that start with QU, like :quit, :quit A, :quote. Now at this point, you see the list of commands here on your screen, and you could just simply type out the command you're looking for and press enter and you're done. But there's another way you can do the same thing. You can actually press the tab key and it will cycle through all the available options. So if we hit tab key once, we'll see that it completes :quit. If you hit tab again, it moves to the next matching command and auto completes that. That command in this example is quit A. We'll press tab again. It's :quote is the next one that matches. Tab again is quit all, etc. Now all you have to do is press enter to get help on that particular topic. And if you just keep pressing tab, it will wrap through all of your options. So I'll just go back to quit, press enter, and it brings up the documentation on the quit command. By the way, with my configuration, I have an option on called Wild Menu. When I press tab, the possible matches are shown just above the command line, with the first match being highlighted. So let's look at this a little bit closer. So let's type :H, WILDM, and press tab. You can see that the Wild Menu option is highlighted. Now if we hit tab again, we'll see that Wild Mode is highlighted. Let's hit Shift tab, which reverses the order and takes us back to the first match, which is Wild Menu. I'll hit enter to bring up the documentation. Let's disable Wild Menu to show you what it looks like without this option on. And to do that, we'll just use :set, no Wild Menu, and press enter. It doesn't look like anything happened, but let's try tab completion again. So we'll do :H, WILDM, and press tab. Now it just performs the autocomplete on the command line, but there is no menu above it. So we'll press tab again, and it moves to the next match. We can press shift tab to go back. So it works in the exact same way, but there's just no extra status bar above the matches highlighting them as you go. We'll get into how to save your options in a future lesson, but I wanted to quickly mention wild menu here because I didn't want you to get confused if you saw something different when I was demonstrating tab completion. So if you have that extra menu, just know wild menu is turned on in your environment, and if you don't, it's turned off. And again, we'll get into how to save this permanently later. Now to get out of help, we can just type :Q and hit enter, and now we're back to our file, and we can edit here if we want, and if we're done, we'll just hit :Q here as well. So :Q to quit here as well. Well, that, my friend, is a quick introduction to using the help system in Vim. Again, the goal here is to make you self-sufficient even after you complete this course. And by the way, we're nowhere near done. I want you to know exactly how to find the information you need and how to use the help system as a quick reference when you need help or you need to look something up in the future.